Long before I was XK, people knew me as Frank Lloyd Chester. That was a name my parents assigned me at birth. In particular, my father, Roscoe, named me after his two brothers. But like most kids, I dissed my middle name until I was an adult. I'll get to that later. Hey, this is XK for Dr. X Knows. Today, I'm ranting about names and pronouns and our ability to choose which best suits us. Be sure to watch this video to the end when I give you the lowdown on something funny that happened to me when I changed my name. I was perfectly happy being called Frank, but you must know, as a Black person, you're prone to have nicknames that precede your given name. It's just how it is in the hood. People find funny characteristics about you or something they consider cool or hip and create a nickname for you. So I've had many nicknames during my life to include Chess, FL, Frankie, Chicken, Machete, and one that I outright refused, Chili. The latter came from my government colleagues who thought I was ultra cool. My given name, Frank, became a burden on my career when I worked for the government. People identified me with my uncle, who was a legend in the organization. Folks heard my name and thought I was his son. I grew tired of explaining he was my uncle. Don't get me wrong, I knew it was a great thing to be associated with a great leader. But me being me, I needed to forge my identity, even if it meant losing some clout. I left Texas in 1988 and moved to Munich, Germany. When I landed, I was Lloyd Chester. And I never told anyone my first name. My office colleagues who knew me as Frank had to adjust. They were kind and made that transition easy. The first few times people called me Lloyd, I didn't realize they were talking to me. Even though I adopted my middle name as my primary moniker, hearing the name was foreign. Of course, I was in a foreign country. It took a while, maybe a few weeks, to get accustomed to hearing my middle name as my first name, but I made a seamless transition. While I was in Germany, I earned an MBA, and that diploma has my first initial and middle name on it. It made me proud to have switched identities on my own and not live according to other people's designations for me. Oddly, my Uncle Frank was pissed off that I switched names. Even though my middle name belonged to his brother, Uncle Frank told my father he didn't understand why I would do such a thing. I remember my father telling his brother, "Leave the guy alone," which settled the issue once and for all. My mother and sister slowly got on board, but they too were slightly puzzled about the change. I felt a little pressure to explain myself to them. It was my choice, and I refused to be influenced by others just because they were family. That gave me an enormous sense of freedom. I believe I've always had this sense of being free in the world, especially around choosing my identity. As a child, I chose my religious identity by going to churches that I elected to attend and not the one my mother and sister attended. That fascinated my father, who was outright atheist and didn't attend any churches, even the one with his father's name on the cornerstone. I believe electing one's identity ought to be a core freedom for human beings. We expect people to change their names when they get married or divorced, but why must marriage be the marker for making such a choice? In 2000, I elected to change my name to Kalani Kachela. This renaming took place after years of deep reflection. Years earlier, I met a finance colleague in Atlanta from New York who had undergone a similar name change. He elected an African name, and his process fascinated me. And when I completed my PhD, my diploma reflected my adopted legal name. Unlike Malcolm X, I was not escaping a slave name. Instead, I was claiming a name that liberated me to be my most genuine self. I wasn't escaping a difficult past nor hidden identities. I was claiming for myself how I wanted to express myself. There was an unexpected bonus. I got a perfect credit report with the new name. Thanks, TransUnion and Experian. The new name meant rejecting a few shortened versions of Kalani, such as Lonnie or Lon. My buddy Frank insisted on calling me Kaylani, which I promptly shut down. That's like the dude on SportsCenter who rejects baby KK. I get it. It makes me wonder why people get so angry about switching persons' pronouns. but have no problem insisting you call them Bob instead of Robert. Folks had no problem calling President John F. Kennedy Jack, which is totally baffling to me, but acceptable. Then there is the name Dick, which substitutes for Richard. We make that switch with no offense taken. And a few people still insist on calling me by my previous names, which I don't consider dead names. They're just names I don't use anymore. Many people who hear my name immediately conclude that I'm from Hawaii. They'll tell me they have other friends named Kalani. The Hawaiian version begins with a K, and my name is spelled with an X. I gently inform them Kalani is from South Africa and Kachela is from Zambia. Both countries are on the continent. Africa, that is. Here's the thing I promise you. After I changed my name, which involved a huge community celebration and party, it took a while for friends who knew me as Lloyd to switch over to Kalani. I was determined to live by Kalani and not by any shortened version of my name. But my beloved friends, whom I've known for years and have been with me through thick and thin, began using my initials. I love them too much to fight or resist what they were inherently or intuitively telling me by using the initials. The initials sounded cooler. The cool breeze thing found its way back to me after all. Many brothers and sisters switched to using X as a last name following Malcolm X's lead. And now Elon Musk has made X a dominant brand. Thanks, Elon. My dear friends, Wynn Marshall, now deceased, Daryl Green, Mike Wingfield, and Anthony and Mia Roberts helped me evolve to my new chosen pronoun, XK. My wife uses XK when she wants to get a point across or otherwise straighten me out on something. It's an effective technique. I have shifted to a familiar feeling of Blackness by taking on a shortened version of my name. It helps me lean into the love of my dearest friendships and collegial relationships. Some of them have called me X, then XK, now Dr. XK. Another colleague, Russell Ellivan, calls me Dr. X. Of course, I return the favor by calling him Dr. RXK. He is a doctor and I use his initials. You can be who you want to be as long as my father would say, you're not doing anything illegal or hurting anyone. This is America after all, or America. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I encourage you to be the person you aspire to be. Use a name or a pronoun that best defines you. It's particularly natural to use the names that other people assign you. It makes your life easier, of course, and that is a significant benefit. It won't boost your credit, however. It takes a lot of work to reassociate yourself with a new name. You have to deal with the Social Security Administration, the courts, your email provider, the Driver's License Bureau, and the list goes on and on. But once you're done, it's immensely satisfying and you are free to be. All right, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I need your subscription to reach 1,000, as I said before. Love you. Peace. I'm out of here.